Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Forum at Wyndham 4 and one in Wyndham 3.
Good morning, Rockingham, and welcome to the feed. It's Mike Smith and Marty Gallagher. Welcome back. Here we are. It's July 22nd already. It seems like just yesterday it was June 1st.
July 22nd, 21st.
I just wish that July lasted as long as February.
I know.
It would really be nice. Today we're going to be talking with Leslie Goldman. She's running for Wyndham District 3. The primary is on August 11th. But first, Marty's going to give us some local events, local news, local happenings.
Yeah, so just reminding everybody again that the Opera House is continuing to do their triple ups. So you can call, get a triple up, take it home, watch a movie, and still have the same experience, almost.
Yeah.
Without the person's head, and you inevitably have the person that sits in front of you. There's 500 seats open in the theater, but they're going to sit right in front of you. So that's the one with a hat. So that's the one thing you don't have to worry about at home. I'm just reminding everybody that tomorrow night is the community recovery visits that Vermont Council on Rural Development is sponsoring. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. If you want to sign up to be part of the Zoom, you can register by going to vermontrural.org/recovery/Wyndham. It's 6:30 to 8:30. They're doing opening sessions. Then there's some breakout sessions with specific topics: child and family care, housing, arts, the cultural economy, and regional nonprofits, and business and workforce recovery. So usually these sessions are pretty informative. It gives people a chance to ask questions, have their questions answered. So I would encourage people to sign up. And I wanted to remind everybody, a couple weeks ago we had the library here, and they were talking about a summer reading group that they're doing. So here's the book. It's The Hate That You Give. I started reading it the other night, got right into it. It's a quick read, and you can pick it up. I don't know if all the copies are gone. There was copies at Leaside Market, copies at the laundromat here in town, and the Shell Station at the bottom of Red Light Hill. You could always go to the bookstore and buy a copy. I'm sure they could probably get a copy for you. And then Dr. Dottie Morris is going to be leading the book discussions for 4 separate nights, July 27th, August 3rd, August 10th, and August 17th. Each book discussion will be about 100 pages of the book. So kind of a good thing to do during the summer. Oops, forgot to start the timer. So if you're interested, you can sign up at programming@rockinghamlibrary.org and give it a try. It's something to do.
That sounds great. And a lot of people are getting into it. I heard Leslie's getting into it. But we want to welcome our guest, Leslie Goldman. She's running for our state representative position. The primary election is August 11th, and
Coming right up.
That's coming right up. Yeah. So, Leslie, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us about yourself, I guess. But we always start off with a real open-ended. Yeah. Tell us about yourself, where you've been, what you do, and why you want to run.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking why I run, so I've spent some time thinking about it. Some people think it's crazy. I've been a family nurse practitioner. I'm retired now, but I've been a nurse practitioner for 37 years. And what I did in that job was solve problems. It might be for an individual, a family, and sometimes a community, like when I chaired the opioid prescribing redesign team. When we're solving problems, the most important thing is to sit and listen, and I really like listening. And then we come together and try to create collaborative solutions. When we don't know, we go to the experts, we do research, go to the literature. I've taken this passion for solving problems to our community by serving on the Bells Falls Union High School Board, the Rockingham Select Board, Parks Place Board, the Nature Museum and Grafton Board, and lately Rockingham Help and Helpers. So now I want to take this passion for problem solving to the legislature. I think it's important to bring the collaborators together and really face a lot of the problems that we're looking at right now. And I'd like to take that passion to the legislature, as I said, to represent the constituents of Wyndham 3.
Oh, great. As such, what do you see is the big, obviously COVID is is the elephant in the room right now. But what do you see as the biggest issue and related to that, and how would you think, what's the biggest thing we need to do right now?
That's another great question, Mike, and it's going to be hard, especially in the world of COVID. I think there are 5 really important things right now to me. The first is healthcare, education, our economy, of course, climate change, and racial justice, social justice. Because of my background, I'm particularly interested in healthcare. I have seen what COVID has done, as you mentioned, to people who don't have healthcare, who lose their jobs and lose their healthcare. It's really not what should happen in our society. I've seen women lose their healthcare when they get divorced. I've seen families lose their healthcare when a parent loses their job. I feel like we need to fix this. I feel like we need to fix it now. Our country spends a lot of money on our healthcare system, a big percent of our GDP, and our outcomes, which is the gross domestic product, our outcomes are not as good as other countries. It has been solved in other countries. There are models that we could look at. I think Vermont is perfectly poised to really fix our healthcare problem and be a model in the country so that everyone gets healthcare. That's what I think needs to happen.
I agree.
Just following through on that question, what would be the model that you would be maybe proposing or looking at?
Well, first, I'm just going to add to that. I think that in the business community that I've been talking to, everyone says healthcare is one of their most important concerns because of cost to small business. How would I approach it? I would do the problem-solving method that I feel is a good one, which is get the stakeholders in the room, everyone that matters, everyone who cares about healthcare on every level, and start talking about solutions, looking in every possible solution, and keep at it until we fix it. I know we tried to do it under the Shumlin administration, it didn't work out, but that was before COVID. Now we have COVID in front of us. We know what happens when people lose their jobs, they lose healthcare, and it's just not right. And I think we should fix it. I think we can fix it in Vermont.
You're sort of preaching to the choir
Yeah.
in this group since we both work at healthcare facilities and promote healthcare all the time. But I totally agree, and I think what you said about the burden that people, I mean, I think people knew it before, but never saw it to the degree they see it now. And the burden even on small businesses, because they can't get employees unless they have health care, and then the paying for the health care is so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm afraid the audio just went out on what you just last said, Mike, so I'm not really sure. I don't know if you can repeat it.
Okay, no, that's great. You keep me honest like that. It's not unusual for us to have technical difficulties. It's pretty much
Part of the
common.
course.
But I was saying that the burden on small business is really huge because they can't get employees unless they can provide health care. And providing health care at a small scale effort is really difficult. And
Yeah, I think basically unacceptable as a society and what we owe each other as citizens. So that's why I would really like to see us approach it really straight on and fix it. Yeah, I think it's doable. I think it's hard. But I think there are models that we can look at.
yeah, and I think you're right about the Vermont, because Vermont
Now I'm
is
not
small.
hearing you at all.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I'm not sure if it's on my end or your end.
No, I think it's on our end. I think something's happening with the microphone on the laptop we're using. So actually Alex is doing a little technical work right now. Can you hear me at all?
I'm not hearing you, I'm sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
That's better, yeah.
Okay. I don't know why, but anyway, back to what we were saying is just Vermont could be the place to solve this because you can get everybody in the room, whereas
I really
someplace
agree.
like California.
I really think that's true.
Yeah.
So one of the topics you mentioned as one of the problems is education. What are your thoughts on education and kids going back to school or the hybrid model or online or all the things that are being bantied about?
Yeah, that's such a complex question. I mean, I could start with Act 46, which I will, because I think it's important to our communities, specifically Grafton and Athens. You know, the Supreme Court made their decision, but I think small schools are the heartbeat of a community, and I really want to see us be able to sustain small schools. I think we have an opportunity with our state college system to retool it, really connecting it with the economy, to develop jobs of the future, hopefully address climate change at the same time. So I think we can address many things with creativity and leadership. Now's the time to really, for everyone to step up from the administrative level, the legislative level. And that's why I want to be involved in that conversation. I think it's a crucial moment in the history of our country and our state. And we have an opportunity to do some really interesting things. Everyone worries about how we're going to pay for it, and that's an important question. I think everything needs to be on the table and really be creative.
I think it's true. I think that, as a lot of people have said, there's no normal anymore. Like, there's no status quo. So it is an opportunity to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, maybe make it work better. Is that
Right.
Is that part of maybe what makes the idea of running interesting for you? That this is a real
Well,
interesting precipice time?
I mean, that's a really important word to me, so I'm glad that you used it. When it's interesting, it's exciting. And it's an opportunity for conversation and growth and getting juiced. You know, I think we need to get juiced as a society right now and solve these problems like they did in the 30s. And, you know, there are times in our history that we've been able to do it. I think this is another opportunity. Yeah.
I agree. Again, it's sort of like when you're talking about centralizing schools, that's almost pro-COVID safety, you know? So it's almost like what was old might be actually new again. Small schools with smaller classrooms and dispersion might be the new model because it's safer. Whereas, you know, we were going to this massive, everybody's in the room together. It might not work that way anymore.
Yeah, you asked a question about opening schools, and I think that's a huge question also. Is there a hybrid model? I've seen writing about that. That looks very interesting. I'm going to trust the scientists to lead us, especially the public health scientists, to lead us through safely. We have to protect our children, but we also have to protect their children's families. And how do we do both? And that's crucial. And then how do we protect learning? How do we protect children who come to school because they need food? In central school, 75% of students get free and reduced lunch. We need to be sure they're being fed. They have been. The supervisory union is doing a fantastic job with that. I was driving along with my husband in March, and we got behind a school bus, and they were stopping along, passing out food and learning materials. And it was a really important, it was a very poignant moment of just how we take care of each other.
Right.
And that was, I got tearful, and it was a really, I love that about our community, how we take care of each other.
Yeah, I think we've really adapted quickly and made changes that needed to be made, and there will be more to come. But I think people, and I'm maybe Pollyanna-ish, but I think that the Vermonters have approached this in a way that's been more of a community approach and less of individual freedom approach, and I think that's worked.
I think maybe you want to speak a little bit to, because it's a perfect segue into the work that you did with Rockingham Help and Helpers and how quickly that group came together, who they served, the needs that they met, and how they're transitioning out.
Yeah, Rockingham Helpers was really, in some ways got me through the COVID pandemic, because, right after the governor, so it was like mid-March, he did it on the 13th, on the 16th, I called town hall and said, how can I help? There was just this compulsion, worrying about how people were going to be getting food. And Laurel Green had also called that day, and the town manager at the time put Gary Fox on it, and a bunch of people from Sustainable Rockingham, and I was included in that, The library got involved, the people there are fantastic. And we worked a system out of within a very short time, the town allowed us to use the Waypoint Center. We were able to get food, once the survey went out, 150 people signed up to be volunteers to help. And we provided services to probably somewhere around 70 people, multiple times, in families from 1 to 8 children, infants to people in their 90s. So being able to do that work, it just felt, I don't know how I can explain how much it felt to be part of that group in this in collaboration to support people in Rockingham to get through that crisis. People needed to stay indoors. They had to, but they also had to get food. We had volunteers dropping food off twice a week. We created systems really fast. We worked with other groups, particularly Our Place, who were fantastic, Parks Place, and then Sevka came on, and the town of Rockingham with Gary Fox. So it was a total community effort and a total collaboration. We're winding down now, as is appropriate. Everyone that was involved, we have referred to appropriate agencies like Sevka or Our Place so they get what they need ongoing. So we've made sure that everyone is getting what they need ongoing. But we're also poised to regroup should we need to and come together again if some other crisis, something like Irene, but if we get a COVID recurrence, we'll be poised to deal with it.
Right.
Because you guys filled in the gap between the kind of services that were already out there with Parks Place and Our Place that were being overwhelmed, and you provided that little extra bit of help, and for the things that maybe that didn't fall under their purview. I saw a lot of that happening, and I just think that it goes to show that as people are curious about your candidacy, that you get things done. So it's a proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, that's true.
That all started before I even thought about running, because I didn't decide to run until, the end of May. We didn't have to make any kind of decision, and I didn't decide until May 20th or whenever, something like that. Rockingham Help and Helpers started 2.5 months before that.
Yeah.
So it was an honor to be working with this group of people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it really stepped in when things were disrupted. I mean, it wasn't just, all of the agencies were also trying to figure out, the individuals in the agencies were trying to figure out how they were going to work, how they were going to react, what they were going to do, so that Rockingham Help and Helpers actually did provide that sort of glue and brought things together and brought a little overhead, a little higher level of looking at the problem.
Yep, Greater Falls Connection stepped in and did kind of what they do, which is connecting.
Yeah.
That's what, connecting all the agencies and kind of making sure that, I only attended a very few of the Zooms because I was still working, but I mean, people got organized right away and things got done.
Yeah, really well. So what else do you think? What else is on your plate?
I'm losing the audio a little bit again, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're losing some of your video too, I think. We're sort of getting a delayed feedback here. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, it's coming in and out.
Okay, well, why don't you lead for a little bit and tell us other issues you want to, because you mentioned several other things, and maybe you'd want to go and talk about them, social justice, and the economy and recovery.
The economy is a big one and not an area of expertise for me, but I would approach it the way I approach problems, which is listen and bring people in the room and all the stakeholders and create a collaboration to look at different levels of the economy to decide where we're going to put our energy. The economy is big. I would love healthcare to help support the economy. I think we need to support, a minimum wage that's livable. I think we need to support family leave so that we can support families. So there's a lot of that. I know people worry how to pay for it once again, but I think everything's on the table and we just need to work hard to figure it out.
Yes, I agree. And also the idea of the way schools are coming back and work is coming back is going to be difficult as far as coordinating childcare, because so many kids both parents work in so many households that it really needs to be, I don't know what they're gonna do about that. I've been trying to figure that out, but I don't know what's gonna happen.
That's big.
Yeah,
But I think it's important that we learned how important schools were. I don't think we knew. I don't think we knew how important schools and teachers were in the functioning of our economy. So now there's that connection and that link has been made. So I hope that that raises that level of discourse in terms of supporting that. Yeah.
Yes, hopefully at the next budget vote for the, the school budget, people will understand, like, teachers reacted as quickly as anybody to it and created, teaching out of their living room and connecting with the kids and keeping kids connected. So yes, hopefully moving forward, it opens the door for more support of education than maybe there has been in the past.
Yeah.
yes. I'm not sure how much time we have left. We sort of working, we have 5 minutes left. So Leslie, we have 5 minutes left, and I wanted to be sure that I gave you an opportunity to, again, say why you're running and what you want to accomplish. So please feel free to
Take it away.
say that.
I think what I would like to add to why I'd like to run is that I love our community. And I'm grateful for so many things that have happened over the years that I've been here. One example is our house burned down in 1987, and there are firefighters from everywhere, particularly local, but also Walpole, Westminster. They saved essential items, which was incredible. Within a day, we had an apartment to rent. We had baby clothes in a crib. We were so cared for. Last year, I broke my leg pretty terribly, unfortunately, and the emergency workers got me off the hill to safety with compassion and professionalism. There is a lot in our community that I am grateful for, and that compels me to want to give back. And at this point, I just want to give back by serving in the legislature, using the skills and knowledge I've acquired to contribute and participate in the conversations that need to happen at the legislature, at the legislative level. I think that we need top-down and bottom-up solutions. The legislature needs to be top-down, supporting our communities, neighbor to neighbor, and they both need to work together. So I'd like to be able to participate both from the top down, from the legislative level, and then the bottom up with, Rocky Help and Helpers and other boards that I'm on, to help our community stay solid and move forward and our citizens stay safe. So it's an opportunity for me to serve our community. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank you for coming on today. I want to apologize for our technical difficulties, but as we sometimes say, it does appear to be
It's the ghost.
Yeah.
The ghost of Fact TV Past comes in every once in a while.
And then I would invite you to come on again. You're a great guest. You have a lot of good things to say, and I would hope you would join us again.
Well, thank you very much for that invitation. I'm happy to.
Okay.
And best of luck to you in your race.
Yes, August
Thank you.
11th. Everyone
August
get out
11th,
and
get
vote.
out and vote, people.
Yes.
No excuses. You can
just
mail
make
in.
sure people know they can get absentee ballots. They can go to town clerk. I'm sure you've been talking about that. The town clerk has absentee ballots. You can get it through the Secretary of State website. We protect people from going outdoors during COVID, but you can also vote the day of voting. But the voting, I think, is moved to the fire station because of the big, air. And then there's a drive-through, which was done with the village vote. I worked there as a JP that day. And it was very fun and very cool to see democracy in action.
Great. Well, thank you. And that's it for the feed this week. Thank you, Bellows Falls. We'll see you next week. We're going to have
Kelly
Tully on. So another candidate. We're going to do the final candidate before the election. And see you then.
Bye.
Bye, Bellows Falls. Bye, Brian.